Hey, great day, everyone. Jerisha Hawk here. I'm an income strategist and I help service-based business owners create a four-figure offer and teach a very simple way to sell their services online. But I've had multiple conversations stirring up in the past week from people in my Facebook group or sliding in my DMs with the same core issue of how do I overcome the fear of putting myself out there? And if you've ever felt this or experienced this, just pop in the comments and throw a hands up, say, yes, me too. Let me know that, that you've experienced or felt this before, that you're not, and just so you guys can really get an understanding that you're not alone in this. But I've had multiple people reaching out, asking the question of how do I overcome my fear of putting myself out there? How do I deal with the naysayers and people not supporting my vision or not supporting the thing that I'm trying to build? And what am I supposed to do to overcome this and take that first step or that next step of building my business? And I wanted to talk about that today because I think this is something that is common that many of us are experiencing, or maybe you have experienced, and that's really actually holding you back right now from truly stepping into building the business that you've always been dreaming of building, been desiring to grow and build. You know that you have a talent, you know that you have a skill set, you know that you have expertise to share, but maybe you are more introverted. I know some people have said, well, I'm afraid of putting myself out there because I'm introverted, or because I'm scared of what potential judgment I may receive from my friends or my family or people online. So just to avoid it all, I'm not going to do anything. And the first thing with this, or like the first question I had received about this was, Jay, like I know what I need to do. I know that I need to be more consistently putting myself out there. I know that I need to be doing live stream video. I know that I need to be more visible when it comes to the services that I sell, mainly because nobody knows what I do. Like I know what I sell. I know what I offer. My notebooks, I wish for every page I've written in my notebook that I could get paid $100. Like I would be rich by now, but nobody else knows what I do. And I think the biggest thing here is this is a common form of self-sabotage, right? The things that we say about who we are, saying that I am an introvert or I am an extrovert, or saying that I'm afraid to do X, Y, or Z, I'm going to be judged. We are now we are creating an identity of who we are when we say statements like that. And then when we put ourselves and label ourselves as that type of person who's afraid to put themselves out there, who's scared of being judged, who already is assuming that they're going to have haters and naysayers, like we're assuming all the worst things, we start operating under that new identity. Well, I want to say new identity. It's the identity you're currently giving yourself. And first thing here, we need to start to reshape what your identity is. Like you may feel fear, you may feel this sense of being afraid, but that is not who you are. That is something that you are feeling or experiencing in this moment, but that does not define your identity, right? Like, so we have to be very careful with the words that we say and the labels that we are putting on ourselves, which are not serving us and which are ultimately sabotaging our growth and sabotaging us from taking action. And I think it's common, like, we've been labeled as X, Y, or Z from our parents growing up, from society, from what we see in the media, from, just from our environment. We have these labels. Like I know one that comes up often in my community is, I'm not allowed to control my income. Somebody else needs to be telling me how much I'm worth being paid. I'm not allowed to set my own rates. Or, that I'm operating under a glass ceiling, that I'm only allowed to earn so much. These are labels and limiting beliefs that we have to make sure that we realize that we may feel them or we may be experiencing them, but that is not who we are, and that does not define how we operate and move throughout life. So that's first come first. But the second thing is, I know for a lot of you guys, it's a sense of, I know I need to be putting myself out there, but I'm not doing it. And if you guys are watching this now live, or maybe you're catching this in the replay, pop in the comments and let me know, what is the thing that you're afraid of? Like what's the reason that you're not putting yourself out there? Like what's the primary reason that you're not doing the live stream videos, or that you're not consistently being visible, that you're not consistently sharing what it is that you do and what problem that you solve? Like I want to know what that real reason is for you. And this is something that this discussion is actually going on right now inside of my Facebook group. So if you're interested in joining our Facebook group and working through some of these things as you're building and creating your signature service, we'd love to have you join us. There's a link in the title, and I just posted a link in the comments. But one thing that somebody had said in our Facebook groups is, Jay, I'm scared to do my live stream video on Facebook. And I asked her why. And she said, because I have more followers on my Facebook page and I'm scared of more people seeing me. And I'm scared of the potential judgment that I may receive from friends and family. And I want us to dissect this thought process, because this individual that posted this in my Facebook group is not the only one that has felt this way. She was just probably one of the only ones that was bold enough to say it in the group in a public setting. But I want us to dissect that piece of that thought process, because she's saying, she's in the Facebook group because she's interested in creating and selling a signature service. She's ready to charge a higher ticket price point for her offers. She's tired of offering low ticket digital products or low ticket products that she sold. Like, she's tired of selling cheaper products in the sense of like price point. She's ready to charge a higher ticket. But in the same breath, she's saying that even though I want to grow my business, I'm scared to put myself out there because there's more people that will see me. And I want us to hear that, I'm not sure if it's called an oxymoron, but hear the dysfunction in that. You want to, in order for you to grow your business, what is required, right? You need to have a good offer. You need to pick an ideal client base. You need to have a process that you're going to sell your service, but ultimately you need to be seen by more people, right? Like, no matter what, if you want to sell anything, you have to put yourself out there in front of somebody to potentially become a customer. So she's saying, I want to grow my business, but in the same sense, I'm scared to actually start growing my business or even giving my business the potential to grow because I'm scared to be in a larger audience. I'm scared to have more eyes on me. So first is that. And then and you continue on saying, well, why are you scared to be seen by more people? Well, I'm scared of the potential judgment that I may have from friends and family. And when you hear that, I'm afraid of potential judgment. So fear is already something that is not a fact, right? And then you're compounding that saying because of potential judgment that I may receive. Your friends and family may not judge you. For starters, is that a fact? And even if they do judge you, what judgment are you afraid of receiving? What can they possibly say? So when I'm saying this, when you start getting this fear in your mind, or start getting this you feeling of scared, I don't want to do this because, start to dissect that thought, right? So often we hear this saying of why are you not growing? And it's because I don't know what I don't know. And the reality is it's not figuring out what you don't know. It's just how can you get better at doing the things that you know that you need to do. It's not about I need to go figure out all the things that I don't know. So often we are self-sabotaging our own success because we're creating an environment of trying to eliminate all the choices that we have available to us that allow us to stay safe, that keep us in our comfort zone. So the thing that I'm hearing when I read that, so I'm so you're going to keep creating content and publishing content she said on her Instagram page, because she only has 400 followers, but on Facebook, she has over 2,000 followers. So I'm you're going to, so this is my thought process, right? You're going to keep creating content and promoting yourself in a small pond. And that small pond that you're currently creating content for and trying to promote yourself in, you've already recognized that there's no fish in that pond. Clearly, she's not hitting the income goals that she wants. She's not converting the clients that she wants to convert in the small pond that she's already in. So how ludicrous does it sound to say, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. I'm going to keep doing what I know to do. I'm going to keep every day, or maybe not even every day, whenever, however consistent you currently are, I'm going to get my boat, put it on my truck or my trailer. I'm going to drive out to the small pond that I know that there's no fish in. I'm going to sit out on the pond and fish every day. And then you go home wondering, I'm not catching any fish. Why am I not growing? This clearly doesn't work. You start to find proof to validate this incorrect limiting belief that you are thinking in your mind, that my offer isn't good enough. Nobody will buy it. I keep being busy. I'm hustling, doing all the things. I keep creating content. I keep doing my live streams. I keep promoting myself, but you keep doing it in a pond where there are no fish to catch. That is the definition of self-sabotage. You are doing behaviors that literally are sabotaging the end result that you ultimately want to gain, right? And I know, like, I'm using this as an example, but I know that she's not the only one that is experiencing this. I know she's not. Because I know there was a point in my business in the beginning stages where I did the same thing. I'm like, and then you guys are wondering or asking yourselves, okay, well, what else do I need to be doing? What's something new that I need to be doing? And you know the real thing that you need to do. You need to invest in the program so you can get a process to like help you do these things as you don't, there's gaps that you're unaware of. Or maybe that you need to be in a community that is supportive, that will, you know what you need to do, but you need somebody to walk with you as you're doing it. Or you just know that you need to go do the live stream video on your Facebook page. Or you know that you need to just start, like, stop taking free clients and start charging a higher price point. You know what you need to do, right? Like, you know the real answer. But when we're operating in this space that we're allowing fear to dictate our decisions, what will you do? You'll keep wondering, how can you catch a fish in a small pond when there's literally no fish in that pond to be caught? You'll be like, okay, maybe I need to change my bait. Maybe I need to buy a new hook. Maybe I need to get a bigger boat. That must be the problem. You start creating solutions to issues that are not even real problems. So and then you stay busy. Every day you go out to the pond. Every day you throw that rod out and try to fish. Every day you sit there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of your time working on your business, but there's no fish to be caught. Hey, Monica, I know you're on live. This is all in love, but it was a really good teaching moment. But there's no fish to be caught. And then you'll start to strategize, right? You'll get in your notebook. Okay, what do I need to be doing differently? And the thing that I can guarantee that this is a form of sabotage is you will try to come up with every option that keeps you safe, or that gives you the sense of that you are being safe, that you'll come up with every option that allows you to remain in your comfort zone, right? Like, instead of going to the lake or trying to go fish in the ocean, you'll be like, maybe I need to take a different route to get to the pond this day. That's what I'll do. I'm going to go left on Jefferson instead of going right. And I'm going to just I'm going to get a new route to get to the pond. Or like I said, you're going to buy a new bait. Or you know what? Maybe I need to change my fragrance. Maybe it's an aroma that I have on. Like, there's no fish in the water. Like, you are going to keep going out there fishing, wondering why you're not catching or converting any clients, while you're still broke. You're still hungry because you're not finding any fish to get fed right now. And it's like, it is an insane form of reality, but like, all of us experience it. As you're building your business, this is why I say entrepreneurship is the best form of therapy in the world. Because in order for you to be successful, you have to uncover all of these emotional limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that you have, and dissect them and get better control over managing those and still being able to make decisions in the midst of feeling the fear at the same time. You have to learn how to do those things. So I'm using this as an example, but all of us experience it at different stages in our business growth. So the real thing is, instead of, and then I want to ask the question of like, what are you really afraid of, right? Like, and we need to do a better job of being able to dissect what our fear really is. And when we feel the fear, like, what is the worst case scenario that can happen? So in this example, she said potential judgment from my friends and family, right? And somebody else had told me, Jay, I know what I need to be doing. I'm looking for things that I can do. I'm going to keep doing what I know to do right now, but I'm not going to do anything outside of my comfort zone. You will never be able to change your circumstances if you keep fishing in the same freaking pond with no fish in it. Like, your circumstances will never change. And at anything, they will get worse. If you keep fishing in the pond with no fish in it, thinking that you're going to catch something so you can eat or go sell it so you can pay your bills, imagine a week going by doing that. Imagine a year going by doing that. Imagine 3 or 4 years going by doing that. All you're doing is like further sabotaging yourself. You've probably starved yourself to death at this point, right? Like, the worst case scenario happens, but like, really, what's on the other side of the fear that we're feeling? And this is like literally what I do. Like, when I feel afraid, to like invest in something, to take the next step in my business, to redesign my business model, to scrap offers and say, you know what, even though this is profitable, I'm not going to keep selling it. I have these fears too. And this is what I do. When I feel a fear, right, I start to dissect it. So like, really, what is the worst case scenario of like, what are all the possibilities that could happen if I take this action? So like, you know, she said that I'm scared to do my Facebook live stream because I'm afraid of potential judgment from friends and family. So I'm like, what could you potentially be judged about? What, like, oh, here she goes again, trying something new. Yesterday she said she was selling this, and like today she's doing this. Who does she think she is to be starting her own business? Who does she think she is that she can make her own income on her own, like in her own way? She just needs to go get a job like everybody else. Like, I don't know what the potentially could be said, but like, really, who cares what other people think? Like, no matter what, if you stay doing what you're doing, or if you choose to do something different, people are going to have an opinion. And somebody literally asked a question the other day, like, Jay, how do I deal with naysayers? I block them. It's very simple. Like, it's very, very simple. Like, what do I do to, like, people like, how do you deal with haters in your business? I really don't deal with haters in my business. Like, I don't get a bunch of people sending me messages of like haterade. Like, I don't receive that. And I think part of it is because I have boundaries in my, like, in how I even show up that like block all of that nonsense. Like, people are not coming to me with straight trash. The worst stuff I probably get is from my family members. More than anything else, like, and even that's rare. But like, people on the internet, like, I just will block them, unfollow them so I don't see anything on their timeline, or unfriend them so like they can't see your stuff, or just like block them on Instagram. Like, just choose not to deal with it. And if it is friends, like friends that you call friends, if they really are friends, like, they should be the main ones supporting you. And if they're not, maybe it's time for you to elevate your friend circle or elevate the individuals you spend time with. Like, there's nothing wrong for you upgrading your requirements on what is how you define friendships. You know, like that stuff is not acceptable for me. You know, so like, I don't really deal with naysayers because I just choose not to entertain that in my lifestyle. Like, I don't have friends that like diminish my dreams. I do not have friends that downplay my vision. Like, I just don't have that in my life. And it took me time to get to a point to feel confident in that and to feel worthy for me to be able to stand firm in those boundaries. But like, you start making those steps. But like, I think so often we are afraid to go do, but we haven't even received any backlash yet. We're just afraid that there could be backlash. So to just avoid the potential that there could be backlash from other people who see us, we just don't do it. And it's like, we always default to the worst possible outcomes. And that's just natural for our brain because of just how we're wired as humans. But like, every time you think of something negative that could happen, think of something positive that could happen, right? Like, what happens if you go to your live stream video and you get your next client? What if you go out there and do the thing you're scared to do and like, you actually earn more money? What if you go out there and put yourself out there and somebody sends you a message saying like, thank you so much, you were a prayer answered. Thank you so much, you were the blessing that I have been praying for. You were the sign that I was literally asking God to give me. Like, what if the positive side happens? We always default to the negative, but make sure that you're also thinking about what's the positive outcome that could happen by me taking this action. Because that's really like, at the end of the day, the only person that can judge you is the Lord. Like, that's the only relationship you got to worry about being like, and even that, like, on your judgment day, that's the only opinion that matters, right? So like, my thing is, as you're moving and you're stepping into your calling, the thing that you, like, God has placed a vision in you to go execute and to go like put out there in the world, you got to realize that the person who may be judging you is just as much of a sinner as you are. Like, bruh, we both out here sinners. Like, but I'm going to be obedient to what God has called me to do. And that's how like I really deal with overcoming that fear of putting myself out there. Because I truly believe that when God gives us a gift, which many of us, our gift is in the form of a business. Our business is the vehicle many times to be able to deliver the gifts that we have. whether that's working with your clients or being able to use the income that you've made to be, to give at a larger capacity to somebody else. Your role to overcoming that fear is a choice between you and God. Are you going to be obedient to what he's called you to do? Or are you going to keep allowing fear to hold you back? And when you shift that perspective, that by me choosing, it is a decision that you are choosing to be disobedient to what God has called you to do. Girl, I ain't trying to have them problems with the Lord. Not me, not today, not tomorrow. No, ma'am. I am not trying to get the reaper, like, no. I don't care what Sally, Sue, Johnny, Bill, or Bob has to say about what I'm doing, because they're not the ones delivering my blessings. They are not the ones giving me my provision. No, I'm not trying to feel the wrath of the Lord by me not being disobedient. Not today. No, ma'am. And so when you really start to peel back the layers of, Jay, I'm afraid to do this, I need you to check yourself and say, where is your faith? What have you been called to do? When you choose, it is a decision. When you choose to allow like your decision making process to be based off of fear and what you're afraid of, you're being in direct conflict with your faith. Direct conflict with your faith. And I know as humans, we will struggle with that. We will stumble on that. But like you need to choose to get back up and to decide like, where is your faith? Because I'm afraid to do X. Like, what's the worst case that's going to happen if you go out there and do it and it doesn't go to your plans? Like, let's say, like we're going to just keep using this example of doing a live stream video. I'm scared to go live on Facebook, Jay. Okay, well, what's the worst possible, if you were to go live, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, you're not going to, like, get shot. Like, you're not going to fall off a cliff and die. Like, you're not going to, if you go live on Facebook, you're not going to be diagnosed with cancer. Like really, like, your livelihood is not about to be affected in a negative way because you go live on Facebook. Like, your well-being is not about to be diminished because you went live on Facebook. Like, what's the worst thing that can really happen? And we build up this fear and like we will amplify it in our mind, but we really are not taking the time to just be like, well, what is the worst possible outcome? Like, none of this stuff is going to kill you. None of this stuff is going to ruin your life. Like, none of this stuff is going to stop you from being able to like live the next day, to go to your job the next day, to pay your light bill the next month. Like doing that one thing really isn't. So when you really start to think about like, I'm afraid of X because of whatever could happen, like, it's not, there's really no real risk to doing it. Like, when you guys get what I'm saying? Like, there's no real risk. But there's no real risk that will harm you. And if there is no real risk that will harm you, be able to like to coach yourself through that fear, to say, okay, I'm afraid of doing X. Okay, what are all the possible outcomes that could happen? These are the negative things that could happen. These are all the positive things that could happen. And then when you look at the negative things that can happen, take it a step further and say, okay, if these things were to happen, then what? I block Sally on Facebook. Okay, I can do that. I block my cousin on Facebook because I don't want her seeing my stuff and I ain't got time to hear her comments on Thanksgiving or on Christmas dinner. Okay, I can do that. Like, I really can't even think of any more outcomes that like negatively could happen. But like, and then it's like, okay, can you manage handling that? And that the answer is yes, which at 9 times out of 10, it will be like, go do the thing. Because it is ludicrous to sit here and say, Jay, I want to grow my business. I want to earn more money, but like, I'm not putting myself out there. I'm scared to put myself out there. I'm afraid to promote myself. Like, I don't want to have to deal with the naysayers. So then you're going to just deal with you being your only naysayer. Like, now you have become your naysayer. You literally have been the one that is judging yourself in a negative fashion to prevent you from even moving forward. You don't even need to worry about anybody else being a naysayer or being potentially judging you. You're doing it to yourself. Like, decide to be something different. Decide to do something different. Like, choose another outcome. Because at the end of the day, like, all of us have free will, right? And that's one thing I love about how God designed us. He gave us free will. He could be like, no, I'm going to just force you to do what I want you to do because I know it's in your best interest. He always gives us free will. And I think that we forget our authority in that we do have choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to do the live stream, or you have a choice to sit there and do nothing. You have a choice to sit here and say, I want to grow my business, or you have a choice to continuously self-sabotage your own success by fishing in a pond where you know ain't no fish in there. Expecting that one day just a fish is going to just appear or pop up that you're going to be able to catch. No, boo-boo. I'm going to need you to take a different route, go to a different pond, and like give yourself better odds of like getting a return on the investment. Like do something different. And most of the time, you know right now exactly what step you need to take. And I'm not saying that this is the step that you need to take to solve all of your problems, right? I'm not trying to sit here and say, wait for the choice that will allow you to eliminate all of your issues, because that choice will never come. But like really, what is the next best step that God is instructing you to take? That's the only thing I want you to worry about. What is the next best step? That's it. Because if you just keep taking those next best steps every single time, you will get to where you're supposed to go. And one thing that we have got to keep in mind is the right decision is usually the light decision, meaning that when we think about what feels heavy and what feels light, like I always go back to like his yoke is easy and his burden is light. It may feel scary, right? We may feel the weight of like fear, but we know in our gut what we need to be doing, right? When at the beginning of this year, I knew that I needed to refine my business model and stop selling so many different types of services. I knew that I needed to do it. It took me 6 to 9 months to actually do it though. Why? I was scared. I'm like, these other offerings are already profitable. Why should I stop doing them? But when I look at, I'm not here to like keep working from gig to gig, client to client. I'm not looking for some get rich quick business model, right? I'm looking for what will be sustainable for me in the long term. When I get married and I decide to get pregnant, what will allow me to go on maternity leave the moment I find out I'm pregnant? What is the long-term sustainability options? I can keep hustling up clients and hustling up sales. That's not sustainable. So I knew what I needed to do. It took me 6 to 9 months to make the decision to do it. So I kept saying, I'm not ready. I'm scared. Like how do you get ready? You choose to be ready. It's just a decision. And when I go back to like, when you have to make the next best decision, the right decision is not always the easiest one to make. Remember that the right decision is not always the easiest one to make. So you should not be looking for what's the easy decision for me to make right now, right? What's the decision that will allow me to stay in my comfort zone? That is not the choice that you should be making. Not if you want to move forward, not if you want to progress, not if you want to get to the next level. And especially when this all goes back to your faith, y'all. Like, I don't know how you can be in entrepreneurship and not believe in something. I don't know. I don't know nobody that's doing it. I don't know. But like, you have got to, at the end of the day, it's a choice of being obedient to what you've been called to do. That's really what it boils down to. And obedience is difficult 9 times out of 10, right? Because it's normal, like it's hard. It's hard to be obedient to what God has called us to do when we're in battle with our flesh. Because our flesh, this is on a whole nother level, but like we need to realize that there's a natural world and there's a kingdom world. And like, if you're operating based off of what keeps your flesh comfortable, if you're just serving your flesh, that's not in alignment with what the Lord has got for you. And that's why it's hard, like, because we are battling our flesh and we are sinners. But at the end of the day, like, you have to do your best to make the decision that is of obedience and really believing that like what God has for you is so much bigger than what you could ever dream or plan or imagine for yourself. So like, if you really want the abundance and like in everything that he has for you, if you continue to make the choice of obedience, making the decision that's the right decision, even if it's not easy, even if it's scary, even if like we feel afraid, like that feeling of fear never really goes away. But like, you have to learn how to find discipline to make decisions that serve the where it is that you ultimately want to be, not the comfort zone of where you are today. That's really all it boils down to. Like the successful from the unsuccessful, the wealthy from the poor, like the individuals who are living the life of abundance and those who are living like in straight poverty. That's really what it boils down to. What is your level of discipline in those moments to make decisions, not based off your current circumstances, but make decisions that will best serve where it is that you're ultimately trying to go? Because if you're always making decisions based off of what your current circumstances are, you're making limiting choices every single time, right? Because your circumstances will never change if you keep making decisions based off of what your current circumstances are. Is that making sense? So as you guys are progressing, and if you are an individual who is like, Jay, I know that I have gifts. I know that I have talents. I know that I have expertise that I want to share with the world. I know that I can help create a transformation for somebody else. But you come with people with like, but I'm afraid to put myself out there. But I'm like, promoting myself? No thanks. Like, I'll let you know what your two choices are. Because there are two. And I'm going to let you know what your options are. And if you guys are new to me, this is a bit, I know this might be a interesting introduction to me. But I'm really, really big on transparency. And what I define transparency as is really making sure that you understand what is required for you to get the result that it is that you are looking to obtain. I don't believe any goal is unrealistic. I think a lot of us just have unrealistic expectations of what's required to get that outcome. So when it comes to, if you're saying, Jay, I want to start a business, I want to have control over my income, I want to have financial freedom, I want to have freedom of time and be able to make the impact that I want to make. But in the same breath, you're also telling me that, Jay, I'm afraid of putting myself out there. I'm afraid to promote myself. I'm afraid of being seen. You have two choices, okay? One, you can choose to feel that fear, but act based on faith and put yourself in community where maybe you don't have the belief or have the confidence, but maybe like you have the coach or the community where you can borrow somebody else's belief and borrow their belief and go do what it is that you need to do. Borrow their confidence and go do what it is that you need to do. It's until you learn how to develop those things within yourself. Second, other choice is you can choose to remain exactly where you are right now. And you choosing to stay stagnant is also a decision. And that's just it. Like you can choose to do something different, or you can choose to keep doing what you've been doing and continue to have the same outcomes that you've been having. That's what it boils down to. Like, are you going to keep fishing in the pond with no fish? Some of y'all will just quit, which is just the reality of it. You'll just stop going out there and fishing altogether. Or are you going to choose to go to a different lake? Like, go get in the ocean. Like, go change your circumstances. Like, maybe ain't no fish in the Westland pond. I don't know. I'm making up stuff now. Like, go to a different city. Change your environment. Like, if you do not have an environment right now that is conducive to you being successful, change your environment. And in today's day and age, going into 2019, there is no excuse. Why? Because like you may not have your environment physically, right? You may not have the people that you need in your life in real life, like in physical form. You may not have an environment that is productive or encouraging in natural, like in the flesh. But like we all have access to the internet. And we live in a world where we have access to resources and community and environment like we have never had in the world, like in the time of life existence. Like if I look at my grandmother when she was in her 20s, she's 85, 86 years old right now, 60 years ago. She couldn't go find community in a Facebook group. She couldn't go buy a program and pay for access to higher level community. Like if she wanted to change her environment, she'd have to literally move, fly to a different city or state and relocate herself. Right? Like there's no excuse nowadays. Like you can go find the community that you need that is conducive to the results that it is that you're looking to achieve. Like if you, and until you can change your physical environment, like you have access. And people tell me, well, Jay, I don't have mentors. Like you can go listen to podcasts. You can go read books. Like they may not be your mentors in the flesh where you can call them, but you can get, there's too much information available at your fingertips for people to be saying out here, like, I can't get ahead because I'm just calling straight BS on it. And if that is too harsh of a reality for you to realize, business may not be the option for you. Like there's so many other safer, more comfortable choices that you can go make to live your lifestyle. And that's also fine. But just realize at the end of the day, it's all your decision. You get to choose. You can choose to stay stagnant. You can choose to continue to do nothing. You can choose to keep doing what you've always been doing, which have not been producing the results that you want to produce, or you can choose to do something different. And that's all I got for y'all today. That's it. I went a little hard, but I was passionate about it. Somebody said, Monica said, see, this is why a coach is necessary, because I've been carrying this fear for months, and just casually commented, oh, I don't want to do this because I've literally made this a fact for myself that I'm afraid to go live on Facebook. And literally it seems so silly right now in just 10 minutes. And like, Monica, I want you to know that you are not alone in that. Like you are not alone in feeling that fear. Like we all have it, right? And this is like to your point, this is why it is so important. Like we cannot see our own blind spots. You can't. Like I said the other day, like I love Grey's Anatomy. McDreamy, Derek Shepherd, he doesn't do surgery on himself. You can't do surgery on yourself. Like you cannot see your own blind spots. And sometimes, especially when you're building a business, a lot of the times we get too emotionally attached to the outcome of the thing that we're building. We need to have outside perspective who does not have that same emotional attachment to give us insight and advice on what we need to be doing in the blind spots that we have that are objective, right? That are not emotionally attached to what it is that we're building. It is vital. And that's why if you look at any successful business, any Fortune 500 company, they have an executive team, but then they have a board of directors. That board of directors is not operating in that business on a daily basis. That board of directors is like the soundboard, the level of reasoning to make sure that that organization is making decisions that are aligned with the long-term objectives that they have. You as a small business owner, you need to have your own board of directors. And your board of directors may look different. Like you may have had to pay for that coach. And maybe you have multiple coaches, or maybe you're in a mentoring program or a mastermind program. Like you need to have a variety of diverse perspectives to feed you and to help guide you in where it is that you're trying to go. It is ludicrous to think that you're going to be out here doing it by yourself. And honestly, like one pivot, like, even to Monica saying that like she was able to get over her fear in this 10-minute live stream or like through this talk today, which is beautiful. But let's say she paid for this. Let's say Monica paid $2,000 for this 20-minute talk, but that was enough to get her in action, to actually like move her out of fear, to get in motion. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And like every single time it is, because of that one trigger of like getting over that fear of doing live streams. And Monica, I'm just prophesizing this over you right now. Like what happens if Monica like triples her revenue this year, all because she was able to operate in the fear and go live? Like what if Monica tripled her revenue because of live stream conversions over the next year? Was paying $2,000 to have coaching to shift her mindset and to get her in motion worth it? Hell yes, it was. And so often we are like afraid to even make the investment to get the thing that we need to get us moving. And people ask, well, Jay, am I going to get a return on my investment on this? It's like, the only way you cannot get a return on your investment is that you just choose to do nothing. Like you invest and then go ghost. You invest and then like, well, I don't know. Like you just decide not to do anything with it. It's like you buy the gift from Amazon, but you never open the box. That's the only way. But like really, if you get in motion and like apply what it is that you're learning, like you should always have a return on your investment. And even for that, like define what is returning on your investment look like for you. What does that mean to you? But also, what is the cost of not investing? Like, Monica, she did invest tonight. All of you guys did. Or even if you're catching this on the replay, you invested with your time. Like you've been on this live stream for the last 30 minutes listening to me, or catching this in the replay, listening to this on audio or whatever. Like you've already made an investment. Was this a worth the investment of your time? So it's really like, this goes back to the fear and being afraid and like all those things. It's like really learning how to shift your perspective. Because like no matter what, you're making an investment in so many different areas of your life right now. It may not be monetarily, but it may be with your time. It may be with your energy. Like all of those things matter. And as an entrepreneur or a business owner, your time is the most valuable resource that you have. Because like if you spend money and lose money, you can go make it back. If you spend your time and waste your time, you can never get that time back. So do whatever you can to like keep control of your time in the sense that you're making investments that will are most prudent for the outcomes that it is that you're looking to get. But I hope this was helpful, y'all. Monica, I really appreciate you posting this in the Facebook group earlier because I think this was a really healthy discussion. If you guys want to join us in the Facebook group, if you sell services and you're looking to create and sell a signature service of your own, like please come join us. If you can just click the link above or below in the comments to request access to our Facebook group, it's completely free. You just have to answer those 3 prompt questions to get approval into our group. But other than that, we'd love to have you. And I would love for you guys who are still watching this right now, comment below, what is the decision you are going to make today? And get specific. The decision that you're going to make that maybe you feel the fear of putting yourself out there, or feel the fear of promoting yourself. But what is the one decision in the midst of the fear that you are going to do? You're looking for accountability. Here is your opportunity. Post it in the comments. Just post it in the comments. Whatever that one thing is for you, just post it in the comments and like go do it. Like stop waiting for you to be ready. Like just be ready right now. Like just decide that like, okay, yes, I'm going to go do this. And then just go do it. And then freak out afterwards. But like go do it first. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night, y'all.